Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk, Season 2, Episode 12, with your host, Joe Dillard Jr. On today's episode, we have former NFL and UVA running back Terry Kirby joining the show.
Welcome to Commonwealth Sports Talk. I'm your host, Joe D, coming to you with another episode here with Season 2. Today we bring you Terry Kirby, Tab High grade, UVA grade, Miami Dolphins, 49ers, Oakland Raiders. Runs a gym, you name it, he's doing it. So this should be a good one today. Once again, this podcast is brought to you by Legacy Maker Sports, Grind and Pray, Cane Beats by Mike Brown Jr. Let's go ahead and tune straight in. Hey, man, I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, for sure. No worries. All good.
You say the JoJo so smooth back in the day, original day one JoJo comment. So I love how it sounds.
Exactly. You know, that's what I know you as. I only know you as JoJo.
That's it right there, man. That's it. My God. So, I mean, I got so much ammo on you, man. And it's like, you know, you pretty much fam to me. And I don't even have but anything from the beginning to start you with. So we go get these Tigers out the way. I need to know one significant story that happened while playing at Tab High. And I mean, you could throw names out. You could tell me how it happened. I know you got something for me, man. Y'all boys, from what I saw, I know there's plenty of stories.
Yeah, there's a few. It all depends on how rated you want me to be.
Be one of them locker room, go get it. Somebody gave you a speech, something happened funny. I know something's in there.
Let me see.
I know my crazy cousin Stevie had something going on. I know between Ray and Dave, I know somebody. Hey, UT used to come over and beat the mess out of me when we were younger, man. He used to bully the mess out of me.
Yeah, but remember, AJ was the smallest, strongest kid, toughest kid I knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For sure. People didn't realize AJ was, 160, 65, 70 pounds.
Soaking wet.
And he was my fullback, which was kind of crazy. You know?
It
was kind of crazy. Yeah, real crazy.
That just shows you how balls to the wall he is. He gets it done.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
A lot of soldiers on that squad.
Yeah, we had a lot of soldiers in Tab High, period. You know what I mean? Especially, you know, in the 80s.
Yes.
In the 80s, you know, we were strong. We were strong. Very close. Very, very close.
Yeah, Big D reminds me of that all the time.
Yeah. I think you guys tried to keep it going, but remember you guys had lost so many of us that came together. You know, once you came through there was a lot more the military guys that came in with you guys, where we had all the family guys.
Yeah.
They
built graft as soon as we became freshmen. And I recall in 95, we actually went 8-2 under Hovis and still didn't make the Peninsula playoffs. But that was a good sign. But then when they broke the school in half, man, we couldn't recover from that.
Absolutely. It was hard. Very hard.
The Simeon did a good job in the early 90s. They won one. But after that, it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. So, look, national recruitment back in the day. It ain't like it is now, huh?
No, it's a big difference now.
But they still hounded you, though.
Yeah, the difference is back then we had that social media thing. You know what I mean? That social media thing was big, but we still had – and, you know, I don't even know now, do the head coaches come to other games like that? You know what I mean? Because for us, we played two sports. Most of the kids now don't play that second sport. Absolutely. You know, so they didn't have any choice but to come and see us because we were playing basketball at that time. So, you know, you can remember back in the day sitting in the stands and you got, you know, Joe Paterno, Lou Holtz, I mean, you know, George Welch, you got Danny Ford, you got all these big time coaches sitting at a basketball game watching myself and Chris, you know. Yep. And that, you know, that in itself was huge, you know, back then.
Absolutely.
That was very, you know, a small little AA town like that where we lived, man, you know, to have, you know, the top 10 coaches and college football come to our basketball and come through our stadium. I mean, it was crazy.
Yeah, it hasn't happened since like that. So that's to show how amazing that is. So, yeah, man, take me through freshman year. As you said, most kids don't play two sports. So to be able to be at an ACC top elite school and get to wear that both, man, what was the schedule like? I know it was nonstop.
Oh, it was constant. In college my freshman year or
yeah,
college
freshman year?
Well, that college freshman year for me, it was tough because, coming in with a little, a little chip and stuff on my shoulders, everybody's like, oh, who's this kid, coming from Virginia, number one recruit, how good is he? He really didn't play at this school, he's big and all this stuff, but how good is he? And, for me, it was a lot on my shoulders because, I stayed home. And that was one of the reasons why I did that, because I wanted to be, start a legacy at Virginia, to be able to say, I'm from Virginia, born and raised in Virginia, and went to Virginia,
yes.
And started something big at Virginia where they could be, a top 10 school. And, we went number one in the country, you know what I mean? So for me, it was tough because I knew that I had a lot to prove. And I ended up getting hurt, my first year, I cracked my sternum, and, it kind of held me a little bit, but, I came back and played. The worst thing was, the craziest thing was, my first college game was the kickoff classic.
Okay.
And that was the opening college football game, Thursday night in the Meadowlands versus Notre Dame. And Notre Dame was a powerhouse.
Yes.
I mean, they had Ricky Waters, Tony Rice, Chris Zorich, Rocket Ismail. They had, hey, let me tell you something. My first
Bobby Taylor on that roster
game going against them guys. Bobby was there. Let me tell you, you're talking about a squad. Todd Light. I mean, I think on that squad alone, a lot of them guys went on to play in the NFL and had great careers.
Yeah.
That was, in Virginia, we were just Virginia to be picked to do that. And, let me tell you, we held our own, but, you can just see the difference. It's a different caliber player, on the Notre Dame squad than what we had. One of the biggest things was we had a lot of heart. We played with heart. We played together. We didn't have the athletes that they had, but we had the heart, and we knew the game of football just as well as they did. We just didn't have the athletes.
Yeah, I get like that sometimes, but it was a great national first game to step into the spotlight. So
absolutely,
4,370 yards from scrimmage later. Because on Commonwealth we give clout to our stars from Virginia. And we don't expect you to do it. We expect you to go ahead and do your thing and live. But 4,370 yards from scrimmage, 32 career touchdowns. You was a high first-round pick, and if I don't recall, but it dropped to the third-round 78th pick by the Miami Dolphins. That was a blessing in disguise, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. For me, it was a whole lot of stuff went down with me with the draft. And, they came out with a whole story of me being blind in my right eye, and I dropped from the first round, and dropped from the first round to the third. But, for me, Miami was where I wanted to be. They were, you had Marino, Bobby Humphrey had just got hurt. They didn't have any running backs, and they were in throw the ball, but they were also going to give me that opportunity to run the ball. So for me being drafted here, I couldn't ask for anything better.
Yeah. I think you got to expose that dual back abilities that you have of catching out the backfield. You caught the ball very well out of UVA too, so it showed that you were capable of doing both. And so they just threw you right in there. I think you had Keith Byers in the backfield with you that year too. So it was a great option to have
absolutely
multiple guys that Marino could check down to. So I know that was seamless as far as the fitting in, feeling good.
The crazy thing is, I set the NFL record for rookie running backs. I caught 75 balls as a rookie, as a running back, which is people, it wasn't like I was split out as a wide receiver or nothing. This was, 75 balls caught out of the backfield. It wasn't like I was lining up as a receiver. And people, they forget that. They forget to catch 75 balls as a running back is so hard to do. But imagine, receivers don't even do that
Exactly.
in a whole season.
Exactly.
To be able to do that, my rookie season, it was a blessing.
And you were in and out the lineup too, so it wasn't even like it's a traditional 16 games with you back there and getting them reps. And then when you look at most backs that are receiving backs nowadays, they're 3 inches shorter than you easily because of their ability to shift hips. So that just was a credit to how you was handling multiple roles as a running back as soon as you came into the league, man. That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. Thunder and lightning, man.
Yeah, it's a blessing for sure.
You and Chief was thunder and lightning at UVA, boy. Everybody had that post. Everybody had, and then the shirts with the cutoff.
Yeah.
Hey, if you ain't have a 6-pack, you couldn't rock that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing, to be able to roll your shirt up and show your 6-pack.
Hey,
you can't do that nowadays. You can't have them up there.
No, they don't want to see it.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt
you
about it.
You led the team in catches with you led the whole team in yards from scrimmage, if I'm not mistaken, because I got it quoted as over 1,200 yards that year too. So you was really balling, man. I think that, sad to have that knee injury happen, man, because great things would have continued going in Miami. But you know the name of the deal with the football business.
Yeah, you never know, man. One play can happen. And, unfortunately, I had a couple of those injuries in my career, and you just got to be able to bounce back. And for me to be able to play the 10 years that I played, I'm really blessed. I'm blessed.
Yes.
Completely. Most guys aren't, most running backs can't say. I think in that year that I got drafted, I want to say there was 9 running backs or so that got drafted before me. And a lot of those guys didn't last. They didn't last as long. And then you got some good ones that actually went on to be Hall of Famers. So, it was definitely a blessing to get those 10 years in.
Man, that's the whole thing about football. Every inch is earned. Every minute is earned. You appreciate it all because it is the gridiron for a reason.
Absolutely. Not everybody can do it.
No, not even close, man. Not even close. So tell me about Ultimate Sports Institute, man. What you got going on out there down south?
For me, when I retired, wow, I can't even believe it, man. It's been 18 years since I've been retired. So since then, I've done a couple different things. I've had a charter school for at-risk kids down here. I've had a title mortgage company all in the same time. And then, I'm a trainer. I like to work out. That's my bread and butter, being able to teach kids how to work out hard and how to, treat your body and treat it as a temple and be ready at all times, And for me to open up a gym down here called Ultimate Sports and to be able to pass on the knowledge that I've had that made my career successful and pass that on to other people, it was a no-brainer for me to start it.
Yep. I love it. That's paying it forward right there, man. You continuing all the lessons learned. And then that nature of an athlete always stays within you. That don't go nowhere. So give me
No, that's the thing. And you know what? I never really wanted to be a coach. I never wanted to go into coaching. Could have. But for me, my abilities are to teach the kids outside of coaching. You know what I mean? Because I want them to be ready physically. Yeah. More so physically and mentally than to be a coach. I felt that was my blessing and what I have to give kids and to give other players that want to be, mentally and physically strong.
Yeah, I love that, man. I understand the importance of the body with kinesiology and these days with sports medicine moving forward and just keeping that body active and how important it is because it is your temple. So that's a great lesson for them to learn because that's going to be going forward all the way to their last day. So I love that aspect. I was wondering where Sports Institute came from because I know to have that fitness aspect into it, I knew you was going to work out. I knew you was going to get it. Like that don't go nowhere. That's that daily grind.
Yeah, for sure.
So let me do what we do best on Yorktown.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to talk trash. I got to talk trash, TK. Let's do what we do. So, let me tell you the last time I was with you.
Hold on. Before you. All right, go ahead. Let me see.
All right. So look, it was your brother and you at a softball field trying to hit home runs. Y'all pulled up talking trash to one another.
Oh, up in
Wolf
yeah.
Trap Road.
Oh man, that was up that Wolf Trap Road, yeah, for sure. Wow, you remember that, huh?
Bruh, I'd never forget it. Like you and your brother.
We were at Mickey's house first.
So it led out to the field, into the field talking trash.
It led out to the field. Absolutely.
Oh my God. When I saw that energy come to the Wolf Trap, it covered the whole park. Like just y'all two talking back and forth to each other covered the whole park. We was like, what's that? Who that? Man, that's TK. I was like, Went over there and just was amazed. Y'all was at it too, bro. Like talking, like it don't end, man. How did that?
Sure.
Take me through growing up with two older brothers, competitive as hell, playing sports themselves. Wayne and Kenny being successful in their own right too. So take me down on that grind, man.
Well, you know how that is, man. It wasn't just my brothers. You know, we grew up in an area where I don't think there was any of us that was not competitive. It wasn't just in my family, my brothers, but all my cousins, you know, with Melvin, Ray. I think we all just grew up in an era where we all competed. Yes. You know, and everybody wanted to talk shit. Everybody wanted to be the best. Yes. And I think that's what made us, for me, it made me who I was. Because I remember being a little kid, just like you were. And, you know, you see us out there playing and you're like, I can't wait till I'm old enough to be able to play with them guys. And, you know, we push you aside and say, you're too young. We push, you ain't ready yet. You ain't ready yet. Exactly. And then you get to that age where you actually get that opportunity to play and you got no choice but to rise up to the occasion. And I think that's what made us so good and so competitive, because we took that over. I mean, even to this day, we go home, we're competitive in anything. You know, if we're playing cornhole, you know, the worst thing is everybody's competitive in drinking. But, you know, it's just, we that's just in our blood. It's in our blood. It's just who we are. You know, growing up on Carriage-Town, CC Road and Yorktown Road, you're talking, you know, just so many Saturdays and Sundays of going up to Tab Intermediate, playing basketball, you know, being down at Tab Elementary and playing, you know, tackle football with no pads on. Yep, you know, that's what we did. You know, we rode our bikes to get there. You know, we had nobody driving us and dropping us off. You know, we were grinders, man. We were grinders.
Yes. I was 5, 6 years old and y'all out there winning the state title and I'm behind the bleachers at Bailey Field running with a football and my Grafton Tab jersey on. And
absolutely.
They don't get no better than that, man. They don't get.
But that's what we did. But that's the same thing I did when my brothers were playing. You know what I mean? That was the same thing. I was that little kid like you were, you know, playing in that little field that they had up next to the bleachers. We ain't pay no attention to the game whatsoever. And we had one of them little teeny old white footballs that they used to throw in the stands. Yep. And we'd be out there playing with that little teeny football, man, and just playing all night until the game ended.
That's how it worked. Tyro better be tight with that little small ball. You had to get
it. Absolutely. And it was straight tackle. It was straight tackle. Yeah. We know there's no such thing as two-hand touch.
I remember me playing with if it was a raining game, they would yell at us, "Don't y'all go down there and play no football," getting in our car all muddied up.
Exactly.
We're trying to be just like y'all.
Yeah, you and Lil be down there getting all dirty for sure.
All day.
No doubt. You know, I think that's one of the things that now I think that this younger generation, they miss that more so than anything else. You know, we were always outside and playing, and now, you know, a lot of the kids are inside playing the video games and all that stuff. We were always, plus, I mean, we grew up where we didn't have much, so we couldn't be in the house. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we could be in the house. We had to be outside doing something. You know, we didn't have all that room. We didn't have that, you know, that room and stuff in the house that we could be playing around and all that stuff. We had to be outside doing something. So we were always active. And I think a lot of kids nowadays, and I see it with the kids I train, you know, when we played football, you played football for that season. Once football was over, it was a wrap. You were moving to the next sport.
Yeah.
So these sports help you become a better athlete.
Yes, it does.
And, you know, you become so much more aware of your body and the different things, you know, that you can do by playing the different sports. And some kids miss out. Some kids may be great, you know, good football players, but they could have been great basketball players.
Yep.
You know, or they could have been great baseball players. Like, you know, just like my brother Wayne. Wayne was a hell of a football player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hell of a basketball player. But you know what? He was a better baseball player than all of that because of his size and his speed.
Yes.
You know, so I think a lot of times kids nowadays, they miss that.
Yes.
They miss it completely.
Yes. I think it's essential to understand how the body works. If you know how that body works,
absolutely,
you can gear it to the best sport. You know what I'm saying? I have a coach's mind watching sports, growing up with sports all my life. And so if I see somebody, I immediately can place them in a sport they best fit and just from afar.
Absolutely.
And that's some things you have to recognize young, or your family or parents or the ones around you have to recognize and put you in that direction. Because just like you said, if Wayne spent more time just trying to be that football player, he might have missed out on that great opportunities that he's had in his baseball career. So,
absolutely,
you know, it's just about the mold and how you fit it best.
And listen, if you look at all the NBA drafts, the Major League Baseball drafts, you know what? They draft athletes.
Yes, they draft our potential in athletes.
They draft athletes. Yeah. You listen, if you're a good athlete, you're going to become a good baseball player. You're going to become a good NFL player. You're going to become that if you're an athlete.
Yes.
You know, so that's what they look at being an athlete, because you can always turn an athlete into a player.
Yes, I agree. My little short-time coaching, I had specialists and I had athletes. And it was two totally different results, but you had to marry the two.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
No doubt about it. That's the difference. That's the difference. And how much, you know, an athlete still needs to perfect his craft, you know? You know, you got to be able to, whatever your craft is, you got to be able to perfect it. And most kids nowadays, the difference between the player that you have now and us, so they have way more training, you know. They got personal trainers, they got receiver coaches, they got D-line coaches, they got all this outside of their team coaches. You know, so these kids are developing, you know, a lot more skills than we had, but they're not better football players or basketball players than the older generation.
Yep.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
You know,
100%. And it's almost like sometimes you think forward and backwards. You know, they're missing out on that outdoor aspect in regards to having that freedom, that the moments where you got to go step up to the plate is what we call it. You know what I'm saying? You go out and you either going to come home with some shirts messed up or whatever, or you're going to win your battle and you're going to come home and be ready to eat dinner. And it got like that. They don't experience that enough. And then I believe if the nutrition and health was back in the day, it's like it's a twofold thing, you know. So they're being told to be lazy, I believe, with the wellness, you know, rest. You know, half the times, half of the injuries you have that you'd be sidelined in today's football.
Oh, absolutely. Shit, I would have never played in that Hampton game.
Yeah.
There's no way in hell. I'd have never played in that Hampton game with the high ankle sprain that I had.
High ankle sprain, game of the century.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So trust me, it's just a different, and I think it's all mentality. You know, nowadays kids are, you know, they're babied a little bit more than we were. You know, us, listen, even our moms would tell us, get your ass back out there. You ain't hurt. You know, it is what it is. You weren't coming off the field. If your mom is telling you to get your ass back on the field, you get back on the field.
Everybody outside the whole doggone family tree just for your action. It's whoever's at the house watching.
Yeah. Well, that's the best thing about it, man. That's it. That's it. You know, that's what, you know, we got to perform in front of our families. You know what I mean? That's, you know, there's nothing better than that feeling of, you know, you're out there and you got your family and, you know, all your cousins, all your peers and, you know, your mom and dad's peers and everybody watching you, because that's what we did. You know, Friday night footballs, you know, and Friday night basketball. Listen, that was what we did. You know what I mean? That was our going out. You know, that was our parents going out. They were so proud of us as kids, you know, because we all were doing the same thing. It was a tradition. You know, it started with your dad and them. You know, it started with my brothers and them. You know, first with your dad and them. They were the first group.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, they were the first group to go through tab and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, Ronald Bug, all them guys. You know, so it was passed down the line. You know what I mean? It was passed down the line, and it pretty much ended. It ended with you.
It ended with
you know,
me.
Ended with you. Once they broke up the tab and the grafting thing, you know, it ended with your class. You know what I mean? That's when it all changed.
High school career hating grafting because we understood the tradition. You understand what I'm saying? Those 20, 30 years of watching and having that tradition handed down. We were mad at the county. We was mad at Grafton being built. We had bigger visions. We were coached by Freddie Mitchell. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
We had Freddie, same middle school lessons, you know, and we were ready.
Absolutely.
But then you break up what we've been grooming for the last 5 years together, and you take half our team away. You know, you know, the historian that me and Brandon are, we understood the raw deal we felt we got.
Yeah, you definitely got the raw deal. There's no doubt about it. You know, there's no doubt about it. You guys were, you know, that last generation that they kind of, you know, they kind of did away with you guys. You know, they didn't give you the fair chance of, you know, having that opportunity of, you know, playing for that state championship and playing for the regionals and, you know, not in just football, but in basketball, you know, in baseball. You know, you get that opportunity to play for state in every single sport that you're in. You know what I mean? There's no better feeling than that. You know, especially coming from TAB, because for some reason, you know, we didn't get the just due that we had until when we beat Hampton. Then they were like, okay, you know what? Them guys up in that county, they the real deal. Then, you know, after that happened, you know, TAB started getting their just due, and then when they split it up, it was over.
Yeah,
it was over.
Like they didn't want nothing to do with the Peninsula District no more, in my opinion, because everybody from the county couldn't be in the Peninsula District, so they wouldn't let us stay in the Peninsula District. And that's what happened, because I would have loved to have played Hamptons and the Kickattans and Bethels, because that's what you get ramped up for.
Absolutely.
That's what you get ramped up for. So that game.
Listen, you know, you weren't. Yeah, I mean, the real games that we got amped up for was at York and maybe Gloucester. You know, other than that, you had to wait to the regionals, and then back when I played, Bruton was hard. You know, Bruton was tough back then. You know what I mean? So you got amped up for like two games, and then that was it. Yeah. You know, the rest were, you know, cakewalks to a certain extent. You know, so
Bruton was like a 21-zap, 28-7 games, and they were the second or third best in the district, and you still, you know, you was just waiting on regionals.
Absolutely, and that's the same thing that happened in York. You know, York ended up losing 2 out of that whole York, TAB, and Grafton. You know, you had 3 schools that each one of them lost out of that whole situation.
Yep.
You know, it wasn't just one that lost, but all 3 did, for sure.
I 100% agree, man. And, you know, it ain't been the same since then, because that buzz was nothing like it. And, you know, playing for Coach Baggett like you did and playing for Hovis like you did, we just took that as an honor. You know what I'm saying? Just to play for those guys and to have those lessons passed down. I had G as my defensive coordinator. He played with Melvin Griffin, played with growing up with y'all as a youngin'. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things that we passed down, and I love the tradition at TAB. It gets no better than that, man.
Yeah, you know, I think they messed that up too when they didn't give, you know, there's certain guys that should have got their head coaching job at TAB. And when they didn't do it and they didn't give it to Melvin, you know, and they didn't give it to Coach. I mean, Coach Walton should have been the first one.
Coach Walton.
I mean, it should have never. They should have never interviewed anybody else. And it should have been Coach Walton, you want this job? It's yours.
Yep.
Because, he was the original 42 at Tab High School.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the original, you know what I mean? And then my brother took it, and then I took it, you know what I mean? So that should have never have been an issue.
Yeah.
Never. He should have, and that I think that when that happened, and then they opened Grafton, it took a lot of wind out of people in York County, especially us. When they didn't give Coach Walton that opportunity, I think that's when it kind of went downhill of what we felt, the York County District and even Tab High School. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, man. That's how it felt too. And you was like, as much as we hated Grafton, you had to root for Walton, and you had to understand the dynamic between that. And if you didn't, it didn't make sense. But for us, it made 100% sense in the regards that he should have been our high school coach, especially being that the schools are splitting. So, that would have been a perfect time for him to walk out Hovis with his record, because he's a Hall of Famer in my book, win, lose, or draw. And so it would have passed down the tradition to another guy that was in the system. And that would have been the perfect way to do it.
The guy that had the defense. He was the defensive. He was the D coordinator. I mean, he put the defense together.
He put terrible defense on that field, boy.
Absolutely. Yeah,
man. So, like I said, man, at Commonwealth Sports Talk, we just happy to have your time, man. Of course, we fans, so, it's just
hold on. I got a question.
Go ahead.
You still a Cowboy fan or what?
No. That's not me. Me and Brandon, me and B are Redskins fans. We horrible. We all horrible.
Oh, okay.
We're the Washington
say, because, hey, you definitely an outcast in your family. Definitely the outcast.
Bruh. Look, that year the Cowboys went 1-15, and they had the nerve to tell me, long as we beat y'all, I don't care. I said, if that ain't a loser's mentality, I said, so I'm gonna act like that when it comes to us. So since my Washington team is struggling, I am laughing at the rest of the division because they look like some trash. And other teams have higher expectations. We ain't gonna mention the other teams.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, football's rough right now, man. Football's going through it's a rough transition right now for the NFL, I think. It's very hard with the injuries and just it's an off year, man, big time. I'm on the alumni board here with the Dolphins, so I've been at every game so far, and let me tell you, it's just a different product on the field right now.
Yes, it is.
It's a different product. I mean, it's just like the NBA. Everything with the bubble. Let me tell you, the bubble was great that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
And some teams strived in the bubble, and the reason the Heat strived in the bubble is because they didn't have any superstars on the team and they like each other.
Yep. It was the simple thing all over again.
Absolutely. Listen, this is like, this ain't nothing but an AAU tournament right now.
Exactly.
We had AAU, that's all it was. Let's just go out there and have fun and play. And when you got teams with too many superstars and they don't get along,
it's too much to it.
You're going to have problems.
You are.
Because you can't get away from them. You can't get away from them. You can't get away from them. You know what I mean? You're there constantly. And I think that's the reason why the Heat made it so far. They made it so far because
they ain't sit with nobody the whole time.
No, that was just them. And they were having fun, man. They were a bunch of high school kids at an AAU tournament balling. That's all it was.
It looked like. That's what it looked like. And man, it might be time in Florida, man. A lot of good things going. Tell me about Tua. What you think, man? He's been named a new guy. What does it look like? Every game.
You know what? I really don't know why they did that. I mean, I wish I could really tell anybody why they did that. The team was looking up. They put up a lot of points against San Francisco. Yep. I mean, they put a lot of points up against the Jets. So you're like, okay, they got a bye week this week. Why are you naming Tua the starter? You know what I mean? You've won 3 games. You got a guy that's there that's been fighting for you in Fitzpatrick, and he's the captain of the team. They look up to him, and then now he's got to feel hurt. I'm sure he does, because there's no reason for them to bench him. Not right now. You know, if they were going to do that, they should have done it the Jacksonville game. You know what I mean? They should have done it. You know, they should have played him in the Jacksonville game. They should have played him in the San Fran game. They should have played him, you know, a couple games before that. They're winning by 20-some points. They put him in the last 2 minutes of the game, and all of a sudden now he's a starter. I just don't know the logic on that one. And I wish I could tell somebody because I don't know.
I know. I understand. I thought about it a couple times and said, well, maybe it was a part of the plan because it's very rare you get a bye week right there, and then the slate kind of lines up fairly nice. So that does sound good. You know how smoke sounds in the preseason, but it sounded good. And so maybe it stuck with it, and, you know, they didn't maybe expect to go play this good football so far. Or maybe they did. So we'll see. But I think he's building something there, Flores.
Oh, yeah, Flores, let me tell you, he's an amazing coach. And what he's done is he's built a team of believers. You know what I mean? They believe in him. And he's going to put them in the right position. You know, they're well coached. I mean, listen, it's just like anything else. They might not be the best athletes on the field, but they're well coached. They're not making penalties. You know what? They're making plays when they can. Yeah, they're making, you know, mental mistakes. Yes, but that comes with youth. Yes. You know, with youth and you got a young team, you're going to make some mental mistakes. But you're not making those stupid mistakes to make you lose a game. If the team is better than you, they got better athletes, you know what? You're going to lose. There's nothing you can do about that. Yeah. But they believe in him, and he's teaching, you know, disciplined football, you know.
It sounds like they're going to make that team that is better than you play all 4 quarters because you don't have time to take it off. You know, it's a 4-quarter game. So that's how you play.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
it. And people don't want – see, you try to throw that shit. Cowboy Nation, I love throwing shade. There ain't enough sad faces on this call right now. Ain't enough sad faces on this call to make that hurt enough. So I save it. I put it in a bottle.
Oh, don't worry. Just talk to all your uncles and all your cousins. You just tell them exactly what I said.
Hey, I know. I'm going to make sure they see this just for that fact alone. Like, hey.
Exactly.
Cowboys missing for y'all.
At least we had to mention them. Exactly. We mentioned them a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Sure.
Like, we mentioned a couple things you need to check out.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, all right. They still trying to live with their 5 rings. That's all they living by right now.
Listen, let me tell you, it ain't nobody's fault. They still good. They gonna say they still good. You know that. Yeah. It ain't gonna matter. And they diehards, and there's nothing like a diehard Cowboy fan. You can't tell them nothing, no matter what.
Why do you think I became a Washington team fan? Because I smelled all that. I said, "What is this?" I ran with Doug Williams.
Exactly. When I was young, I was a Steeler fan because all of them were all Cowboy fans. Oh yeah, for sure. Remember, everybody in our hometown, they were all Cowboy fans. We had very few. Every one of them.
Even the women.
Washington. All of them.
Even the women talk trash to you when they win.
All of them.
They don't talk football all week long, but Sunday Cowboys win. And you could have sworn that the ESPN segment with you. I was like, oh.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. They all Cowboy fans. That's why I went to Pittsburgh.
Yep. I ain't mad at you at all. My sister, she did the same thing. She a Pittsburgh fan, and I'm a Redskin fan. So, you know, old Butch, my dad, Joe Sr., that's how much him, Uncle Frank, Melvin, that's how much they threw that Cowboy stuff in the air. We was like, nah, I don't need that Kool-Aid.
Exactly. Exactly.
I got Leon Lett in the snow game. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I loved it. That was Thanksgiving Day. You know I loved it.
We was all at the table. They had to tell us, like, what is Leon doing? Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
And you know I loved every minute of that one because I was on the winning team. Yes. I went and played Madden as you for like 2 days straight against the Cowboys after that, TK. I was like, I'm on the Sega Genesis, like, yeah. I remember that face. No doubt.
Yeah, man. With Commonwealth Sports Talk, man, family, Yorktown Road. Keep doing your thing, man. Your little man big too, man. He getting big, man.
Yeah, he getting there. He getting there. He tall. The difference, I'm trying to get that fried chicken like we used to. I can't get no size on it, man.
Kids these days don't want that heavyweight. They don't want it.
Man, I know. I need to get him some, though. That's the problem. He need to get about 200 pounds. He only like 180 right now. I need some more.
Yeah. We'll get him there.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right. For sure. It's in his genes. He got to do something.
That's what I was about to say, man. I'm going to have to reach out to your brother now. I'm going to have to see what he's talking about. I know his year with San Diego was interesting, so I love it.
Yeah, man. They got blown out, man. I couldn't believe it. I thought they had the chance.
Hey, they look the part, so I think they ain't going nowhere, but sometimes when you get there for the first time, them guys got to go through it. And then they got to have that mental preparation for it.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. They got a young squad, and they got some ballers, boy. They got some young ballers.
Yes.
They got some young ballers. Yeah, for sure. No doubt.
But all right, man. Yo, appreciate your
time. All right, cousin.
Love
all right,
you,
baby. Good to see you. All right, bro. I'll see you. All right.